This is our unit plan on Africa, created by Sierra Jensen, Xavier Harris, Kayla Foreman, Maddie Eiler, and Miranda Boger.
The NCSS theme is culture, and the topic is Africa. The grade level is for 5th grade, and for the pre-assessment, before the unit, we would have them do a 4 corners activity, where each corner of the room will be labeled A, B, C, and D, and then we'll ask them questions regarding Africa, and they'd walk to the corner that they think is the right answer. So the first lesson is focused on Montana and African tribes. The lesson objectives are students will be able to compare the contemporary experiences as well as the histories of different tribes and cultures across the world. Students will be able to gather and synthesize information to compare and learn about different cultures. Students will be able to understand that cultural groups, including tribes, are made up of individuals, so even though there are some aspects shared by the broader community, not all individuals within that community will have those aspects. The overview of the lesson is students will choose a Montana tribe as well as an Africa tribe to research and then explore the contemporary and historical experiences of each. The students will then create 2 Venn diagrams. One compares the contemporary experiences and the other compares the historical experiences of Montana and African tribes. At the end, they would do a discussion on both Venn diagrams. The next lesson, the theme is sociology, and the objectives are students will be able to read articles about Africa using good sites that they find from the internet by making sure the resources are fair and accurate. Students will be able to create an interview list of questions with the help of articles that they read to ask their partners. Students will be able to then present their interviews to the class once they have time to practice with their partner. Then students will be able to write a 1-page paper on how the interview went. The overview, the students will learn about daily life in various African cultures. Students will read accounts about young urban Kenyans and others. After reading the article, students will create an interview that they will present in class.
The next lesson is a civics lesson, and the objectives are students will become aware of the variety of governments in Africa, and students will gain an understanding of how government can vary from culture to culture. So the overview is first to introduce the students to the different types of government through videos and discussion. After that, we'll split up into groups, and each group will become an expert on a different government, and they'll get to pick this government. After that, we're going to do a jigsaw activity where a person from that group, or from each group, will split up and go to another one and share with their peers. And then after that, we're going to do a mock union meeting, where the students will run their own meeting and they will figure out a problem that Africa is facing and try to resolve it together. And then after that, we're going to discuss it and see what went well and what didn't as a class.
For the next lesson, we focused on economy, and an overview of what the lesson was about is students just investigated how gold mines of Africa affected the country's economy. The students did their own research about the topic, and then they had to pick a side on whether they believed the gold mines were actually worth it or if it wasn't. Students then made an argumentative presentation based on this issue, and used direct evidence from their research to verify their arguments.
So the next lesson is our assessment, and it is a trip to Africa that the students will plan. The objectives are students will be able to apply their knowledge of different topics of Africa, including politics, history, sociology, and geography through research and planning a trip to Africa. The final assessment will be a brochure that they will create, and then they'll do a gallery walk to see each other's. So the overview is students will choose a geographical location in Africa and plan a trip to that area. Students will have to think about transportation, cost, accommodations, itinerary, packing, language and customs, geographical location, continental or historical landmark and its importance, a political building, and the political form that's in control in that area and how it affects the area.
So some of the resources we used was through government websites of Africa. We also used Discovery Education, and then an African Tribes website, which was the official African Tribes website. The biggest challenges we had was just simplifying the information in a way that students could understand. Most of the lessons we found were for older students, so then what we were focusing on. To overcome this age gap, we made the lesson more simplified and usually focused on smaller goals from the lesson that we found. And then these are just some of the pictures of the sources we used.
The next thing we have is our reflection, and something that we learned from collaborative planning is that it takes a lot of communication from everyone. Everyone's schedules are busy and crazy, and they don't match up to everyone, so it's hard to find a time that everyone can meet. And then we also learned that compromise is key, and having an open mind is a must. To change our unit, we could have had a topic that we knew more about. Africa was really hard because we really didn't know a lot about it, so we had to do a lot of research. And then for tips for others, do more research on the topic and maybe pick an older grade level. You'll be able to do a lot more. So that is our unit plan. Thanks for listening.